Chapter 15. At the end of every 7 years you shall make a release. This is the manner of the release. Every creditor shall release that which he hath lent unto his neighbor. He shall not exact it of his neighbor and his brother, because the Lord's release has been proclaimed. Of a foreigner you mayest exact it, but whatsoever of yours is with your brother, your hand shall release. However, there shall be no needy among you, for the Lord will surely bless you in the land which the Lord your God gives you for an inheritance to possess it. If only you diligently hearken unto the voice of the Lord your God, to observe to do all this commandment which I command you this day. For the Lord your God will bless you, as he promised you, and you shall lend unto many nations, but you shall not borrow. And you shall rule over many nations, but they shall not rule over you. If there be among you a needy man, one of your brethren, within any of your gates, in your land which the Lord your God gives you, you shall not harden your heart, nor shut your hand from your needy brother, but you shall surely open your hand unto him, and shalt surely lend him sufficient for his need in that which he wanteth. Beware that there be not a base thought in your heart, saying, The 7th year, the year of release, is at hand, and thine eye be evil against your needy brother, and you give him nothing, and he cry out unto the Lord against you, and it be sin in you. You shall surely give him, and your heart shall not be grieved with when you givest unto him, because that for this thing the Lord your God will bless you in all your work, and in all you puttest your hand unto. For the poor shall never cease out of the land. Therefore I command you, saying, You shall surely open your hand unto your poor and needy brother in your land. If your brother, a Hebrew man, or a Hebrew woman, be sold unto you, he shall serve you 6 years, and in the 7th year you shall let him go free from you. And when you lettest him go free from you, you shall not let him go empty. You shall furnish him liberally out of your flock, and out of your threshing floor, and out of your wine press, that wherewith the Lord your God hath blessed you, you shall give unto him. And you shall remember that you was a bondman in the land of Egypt, and the Lord your God redeemed you. Therefore I command you this thing today. And it shall be, if he say unto you, I will not go out from you, because he loveth you in your house, because he fareth well with you, then you shall take an awl, and thrust through his ear, and into the door, and he shall be your bondman forever. And also unto your bondwoman you shall do likewise. It shall not seem hard unto you, when you lettest him go free from you, for the double of a hire of a hireling hath he served you 6 years. And the Lord your God will bless you in all that you do. All the firstling males that are born of your herd and of your flock you shall sanctify unto the Lord your God. You shall do no work with the firstlings of your ox, nor shear the firstling of your flock. You shall eat it before the Lord your God, year by year, in the place which the Lord shall choose, you and your household. And if there be a blemish therein, lameness, or blindness, or ill blemish whatsoever, you shall not sacrifice it unto the Lord your God. You shall eat it within your gates. The unclean and the clean may eat it alike, as the gazelle, as the hart. Only you shall not eat the blood thereof. You shall pour it out upon the ground as water. All right, that's chapter 15. I'll go back to verse 1. God's proclaiming the year of release. He says, at the end of 7 years, you shall make a release. This release here he's talking about is not only debt, but if you have a slave, you're supposed to let them go free. This is the manner of release. Any creditor shall release that which he hath let unto his neighbor. He shall not exact it of his neighbor and his brother, because the Lord's release has been proclaimed. Now, God's proclaimed a release. You got to forgive the debts every 7 years. God says, of a foreigner you mayest exact it, but whatsoever of yours is with your brother in your hand you shall release. See, we find that there's a slight difference here in the law, that he says, from the foreigner you mayest exact it. Well, we're going to teach something else. We're going to teach that even though they may be a stranger in your land, you should treat them just like you would treat your brothers. See, we don't make a difference in these people. Why? Because we don't want people to make a difference in us. So we don't make a difference in them. We'll find that as we go through the law, God's trying to teach us to learn on our own. We're trying to take these laws and expound them to make them larger so we can understand more from them, because God wants us to understand more. However, there shall be no needy among you, for the Lord will surely bless you in the land which the Lord your God gives you, an inheritance to possess it. Here God's commanding that you take care of the needy in your area, in around your gates where you live. He says, if you will listen to this, if you will hearken unto me, unto this commandment, he'll bless you. See, verse 5, if you'll listen to me diligently. Verse 6, for the Lord your God will bless you, as he promised you, and he shall lend unto many nations, but you shall not borrow. He's going to make you the head, not the tail. See, you'll be the head of things, you won't be the tail of things. And if there be among you a needy man, one of your brethren, within your gates, in your land, where the Lord your God gives you, verse 7, you shall not harden your heart, nor shut your hand from your needy brother, but you shall surely open your hand unto him. You shall surely lend unto him sufficient for his need and that which he wants. Well, notice in verse 9, he says, beware that there be no base thought. This base thought means a low thought, an evil thought, a thought that ain't going to do you any good in your heart, saying the 7th year is at hand, this year of release is at hand. If I lend him money, I got to forgive him. I just got to give it to him. Well, yeah, that's what God says. Because, see, he's going to pay you back all he can until the 7th year release has come. And you can't do no thinking about this. Whatever he needs is what you give him. God's shown us in verse 11, see, that the poor is always going to be here. Why? So God can prove you through this. God's going to prove you to see if you're taking care of your needy and the poor. He's going to prove you. In verse 12, we find out if a brother, a Hebrew man, or a Hebrew woman be sold unto you, serve you 6 years, and the 7th year you shall let him go free. So this is the Hebrew slave, the Hebrew bondsman, Hebrew bondmaid, whatever you want to call them. A slave is when we sell somebody to somebody else. This is a slave. It's an act that's wrong. We should never even buy a human being unless we just intend on purchase to let go free. See, slavery was something that was tolerated back then. We don't tolerate that today, even though it is rampant today. It's just loose in the world, crazy. People say, well, that's not true. Yeah, you have. Most people have made their bondmen, their self a bond with their creditors, with these credit cards and banks and everything else which you owe money to and you're paying interest to. You've become a slave unto this. You're not working to earn money to put away. You're working to earn money to pay things, to pay for things you've bought when you didn't have the money. You went and borrowed the money to buy these things. Now you got to pay for them. So you've made yourself a bondsman to this. Not to even mention the national deficit, where your brethren has already sold you into debt. See, these leaders that we put up there have sold us into debt. We've become bondsmen to this debt that they've created, making themselves fat all the while off the exactions they put upon people. They never consider this. They don't consider this. They're wealthy. They don't have the problem. And when somebody takes 1/3 of their pay, they have a problem because they went and made laws, the rich have, to make sure that they don't get that much of their money. See, they'll get that much of your money. We won't go into the government. God says you shall furnish him liberally out of your flock. You won't send this man away empty that you have purchased after he served you. See, we'll find he has served you 6 years, and that's it. You have to let him go free, and you will furnish him liberally when you let him go free, out of your flock, out of your threshing floor, out of your winepress. For God has blessed you, you shall give it unto him. You should remember that you was a bondsman in Egypt. See, you used to be a slave under the Egyptians. You was a slave under this world till God set you free. God called you. He talked to your heart. He told you how to get out of this. He taught you the teachings that would get you up out of this. We got to remember. We got to remember these people who haven't been released. We have to remember these people who have been made bondsmen, that the world is causing them to serve for the lust of gold. And if he's saying to you, I will not go out free, out from you, because he loves you in your house, because he fareth well with you, why don't he want to leave? Because he fares well with you. You've blessed him. God's blessed you because of him, because you've blessed him, see. You've taken care of your brother. God's taking care of you because you're obeying his commandments. It shall not seem hard unto you when you lettest him go free from you. For the double of the hire of a hireling hath he served you 6 years. And the Lord your God will bless you in all that you do. See, all that you do. If you let him go free, God's going to bless you. Because, see, he served you the double of a hireling, which was 3 years. He served you for 6 years, obviously sold to you to pay off a debt that he had made with somebody else. They sold him to you to get their money quickly. All the firstling males that are born of your herd and of your flock you shall sanctify unto the Lord your God. You shall not do any work with the firstlings of your ox, nor shear the firstlings of your flock. These we're supposed to take down, and we're supposed to eat these before the Lord year by year in the place where the Lord shall choose. Verse 20. We're not supposed to eat these. We're not supposed to work these, because they are been made holy unto the Lord. See, you shall eat within your gates. The unclean and the clean may eat alike, as the gazelle, as the hart. We went through this yesterday. You can eat the wild game within your area, as long as it is according to the law of the clean and the unclean, that it parts the hoof and chews the cud. See, this is the law of the clean and the unclean. It has to both part the hoof wholly and chew the cud. This makes it clean. Only you shall not eat the blood thereof. You shall pour it out upon the ground as water. Once again, God reiterating that we don't eat the blood thereof. See, because this is the life of the animal. We eat the flesh, not the blood. God says pour it out on the ground as the water. Health laws, among other things. Have to learn to obey the teaching of God. All right. That was chapter 15. We're going to move on. We're going to go to chapter 16.